your scheduled council meeting for June 1st, 2020. And I'd like to again welcome everybody for joining us on our video council meeting for this evening. With that being said, Ms. Berner, would you call roll, please?
Sure. Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Councilwoman Hopkins.
Here.
Councilman Grimm.
Here.
Scheduled council meeting for June 1st, 2020. And I'd like to again welcome everybody. Sorry.
Okay. Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilman Cobb.
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
7 members present.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berner. And tonight, the invocation will be by Ms. Berner. When you're ready, please.
Lord, our nation is definitely hurting at this time. I pray for strength, endurance, and guidance for our leaders and citizens to work together to find solutions to these difficult problems we're facing. We ask that tonight and every night you watch over all first responders, grant them strength and clarity to stay safe. We ask, Lord, that you give us your peace, love, and kindness and allow it to fill our hearts. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
See how
Very
easy.
I had a little time to prepare.
All right, and Mr.
That
Grimm
was-
has the flag for the pledge. So you can stand if you like. I pledge allegiance
You just-
to the flag of the United States of America,
America.
to the republic for which it stands,
Stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
Indivisible, liberty.
liberty, and justice for all.
for all. Great. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. We appreciate it as always. And we are moving on to, we'll need action on the minutes for the work session and the regular session on 5/18/20.
So be.
Second.
It looks like we had a motion from Mr. Cobb and a second, I think, from Ms. Eggleston.
Yep. All right.
Any discussion,
Vice-
council?
Sorry.
Nope, no discussion. And when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Minutes accepted 7-0.
Thank you very much. All right, dropping down to communications, none. City managers report. Mr. Bridge, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public. Just a quick review of the city manager report. Under informational items, the first bullet point is current city building purchase. I just wanted to update everyone. I will be executing that contract tomorrow. June 2nd is the first effective day of that contract, so we'll be handing that off with them. And we do have to close by 6:30. So I have been in contact with the bank. Once you get the executed contract back, we'll start. They've already started the appraisal process on the current building. And then we'll be finishing up the financing aspect here in the next couple of weeks. But it does need to be done by 6:30. If by chance that needs to be extended, I'll work that out with the seller. But I did just want to bring everyone up to date about the execution date of the contract. Any questions on the current city building?
I just had one, Mr. Bridge. I don't know if, I can't remember if we went over it. Not really a question, but would you mind just going over why we're in this position? I mean, I know, but I mean,
Sure.
you work with it day in and day out. So just for our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. We do not own our current city building, which is why we wanted to renovate the one downtown and purchase it. And that is still on the agenda. It's just kind of got delayed as well with the COVID situation. But they want to sell that building. They don't want it in their portfolio anymore. So they're gracious enough to go ahead and ask us first if we wanted it. We brought it to council. Council approved that because our long-term goal with that, once we're out of that building in downtown, that building will now become our new substation for the sheriff's office, which is much, much needed, as we all know. And then we can look at leveling the current substation for more parking for the fire. So that's just basically sums it up in a nutshell. We don't own, so we're kind of either forced to get out or buy it. And council always wanted to go ahead and assume that building once we moved out to put the substation down there. It's the order process. It just flipped as far as getting the building done first and versus moving the cops down there. So it just happened a little quicker than what we wanted, but it still fits into the long-term goal of council and administration.
Yeah, it was unexpected, but I mean, the domino pieces for the most part fell in order to what we were, I think many of us were looking for into the future. So,
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And moving on with the city manager report, it says current city mailing operations, and I did put an attachment on here. The council can see. Basically, the first page is a thing of stats, but the second page is very interesting, and that's a little graph of the number of potential cases and confirmed cases. And I actually use that guide to help me decide what I'm going to do with the current city building. So I wanted to bring the public up to date. Council, you're already aware of this. Of course, I keep you guys up to date with how the city is being operated. But we did assume 5-day operation in the city building starting today. So we do have all staff members there 5 days a week. We do have social distancing guidelines in place, as well as health assessments in the morning, which include screening questions and also physically taking temperatures before you come into the building. So that now we're all there 5 days. I did decide to still keep the lobby closed, and because based off the information from the health department, Clark County is currently May 20th to 27th. They went from 139 confirmed cases up to 191. So in Clark County itself, we're still seeing this uptick of confirmed cases. And the last thing I want to do is expose any one of our staff members who come into that lobby with anyone who may be potentially infected with that disease and may not know it. Right now, it's working with our foyer in the night deposit box. We haven't had, if any, complaints about that. But now that we're all back at the office 5 days a week and opposed to every other day on different teams, it's just going to move a lot quicker. So until I get some comfort there with the county cases not being going up, I am going to continue on keeping that lobby closed to protect our employees. I know I explained that to council. Everyone seems to be okay with it, but I at least wanted to update the public in the live meeting that we are there 5 days a week, but the lobby still is closed. We also got a lot of questions recently about the playground equipment and stuff like that at Smith Park, the basketball court, and sports, and the state is still mandating those to be closed as well. So as soon as the state gives the okay to open up those, of course we will, but in the meantime, it's still closed.
Okay.
Any questions on the city building operations?
No, sir.
Okay. And community cleanup. I know we talked on this on a work session just briefly, but we'll just revisit it just in case we didn't have the viewers at work session that we do have during regular session. We are going to have community cleanup. It will be at some point in time after the community garage sale, which is the last weekend in June. I'm assuming it's not going to be the first weekend after the garage sale because that goes until July 4th, but maybe the week after that or the week after that. But I will be getting with our service director to go ahead and try to get some dates established, because we do have to rent the roll-offs and make sure we have enough volunteer help to do that. But just so everyone knows, we are having community cleanup. The date is just pushed back then a little later than what we normally would have it. We also have an update, and I don't want to get too much into it. We'll go into more detail at the next meeting in June, which is the 15th. But we have secured a location for the community tool lending shed. And that is the current structure at Smith Park. It's a cinder block building. It does have the mural painted around it. But we went around, looked at a few different spots last week in town, and we feel that is the most secure place, the most central place that we can go ahead and put all the tools that he's going to be purchasing in there. And just to reiterate to the public who may not know about it, we are starting a tool lending shed. So if you don't have a lawnmower and you need to cut your grass, you can actually come and just check it out for free. Go cut your grass and then bring us back the tool. This is going to be weed eaters. It's going to be hand tools. So Mr. Hutchinson has experience in doing this in other municipalities, and he's going to do a good job with it. I don't want to take his thunder away with it. So at the next meeting, he'll give a little bit more update. But I at least wanted to update council and the public to let you know that we have secured a building for it. And then I have some good news too. We all know that we had some issues with our former finance director and not doing any bank account reconciliation. So we have, I hired a vendor to come and do those. And I got word from her late last week that she has up December 2019 and prior completed, done. She had 0 issues balancing. So what she's going to do, and this is balanced on paper, she'll be in office this week and start doing it on the system. But it is good news to know that everything's balancing down to the penny. So once we get December done, we can close the year, can go on with our audits and stuff like that with the state. But I don't know if we're off the couple $1,000s of what we said we were before, because we are starting to find that. Now that may come up in bank recs, but right now, as far as 19 goes, everything has balanced down to the penny, and that's great news. So we're moving forward with that aspect as well. So I just wanted to update council to let you guys know that the bank recs are about done. Upcoming, we have our 2021 tax budget that will be introduced at the next meeting. It has to be to the county by July 15th. We'll get that done. And just so everyone knows, that tax budget is really the first step to your budgeting process. So the numbers on there aren't going to be accurate. It's just what we have to do to get back to the county that says, all right, this is how much we're expecting for our taxing levies or for anything that we may get property tax revenue from. And back to them so they can actually send us our estimated resources later in the year. And that estimated resource certificate is how we actually compile our 2021 budget. So that will be coming next council meeting. And then we also have coming up in August our street lighting assessments that we do every year, and also our assessments for the grass cutting and nuisance abatements we have. And every year we always do those in August. So those will be coming up here shortly as well. And that is all I have for my city manager report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
All right, council, any questions for the city manager?
Go
Did you
ahead.
have something, Mr. Cobb?
Yeah, Mr. Bridge, the wife just checked on them openings in the street there. Has there been no concrete put in them holes?
None? Yeah, I'll get with Howie tomorrow. We'll have an answer for you.
Well, I mean, you're starting to lose the grass area. It's falling in, some of them from all the rain.
No, absolutely. It definitely needs to be addressed. And thank you for letting us know.
Right, anyone else from Mr. Bridge?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir,
Mr. Bridge, you said we're waiting for the state to say we can open the parks.
Yes, sir.
Is there any logical reason we can't open them?
Because of the groups of 10 or less. There's still a limitation on gatherings of 10 or less in certain spaces. So until the state says we can open them, we have to abide by what they say.
Well, they are in the sun, in the open sunshine. And at our last meeting, Dr. Patterson said sunshine kills this virus. It's in an open space with the wind blowing. There is now evidence that this virus does not stay long on surfaces. And Mr. Patterson agreed that young people are less likely to suffer ill effects.
Can I toss something in?
hang on just a second, Ms. Nowakowski. Go ahead, Mr. Grimm.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Linda.
They might not suffer from it, but they can still pass it. And that's of concern to me because people think that they're healthy and can be carrying the disease and pass it on. That's just a real concern to me.
But then again, they're still in the sunshine, and sunshine kills the virus. So if they catch it by playing on the playground, they're not going to have it that long.
How much sunshine is there right now?
Not at the moment.
It's still a time when the park would be open.
But 9 times out of 10,
Do you say they can't come out if it's cloudy? Do you say if... I think we're just safer keeping them closed until we're past this.
All due respect to everyone here, everyone has valid points, but until the state says we can open them, we can't open them. I will not be authorizing anything to open until the state says it's okay to do so.
there are a number of communities that do have parks open. I understand Troy has opened their parks. I've seen kids playing on playgrounds in Beaver Creek and in Centerville. And in,
I have not seen that. I've been checking up on other municipalities. We're in a city manager group, and then all the city managers groupers, we're all saying the same thing. Until the state kind of says it's okay to open, we can't open. Even if our county health department recommends we, and I don't think they would. They have to follow the state guidelines as well. And I'm not saying I don't disagree with you, Mr. Grimm, but unfortunately, the state has the order down, and us being a municipality, we have to kind of follow suit.
second question, how long have we been gone carrying on with these online things? Because they've been plagued with problems. Every week we have problems, or every meeting we have problems. Tonight, Linda's been breaking up. You've been breaking up. Some people having problems staying connected.
It has to do with individual internet speeds. I got really fast internet. It's been great, but it goes back to that 10 limit rule. So some municipalities are starting to go back in session, but they're still closing it to the public. That would be up for council to decide. That won't be my decision at all. I'll definitely give my opinion on it. But what the vast majority of them are doing is once the state lifts that 10-person limit, then they're going back to the regular session. Because we got to understand, say we go back to meeting in person, I will not have my staff show up. I'll show up. But then we have to clean it after every meeting, and that's going to get kind of costly. So that is not my decision at all. That'll be a decision that you council members will have to make. But we still would have to do social distancing. We still have to limit to 10 or less. And if we got 7 council members, me and Emily, there's your capacity.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How do other council members feel on that?
I'm sorry, did you say something, Mr. Bridge?
Yeah, how do other council members feel on that?
My 2 cents is, I mean, we do need to go back to it. I don't have a problem with it currently. But I understand what Mr. Grimm is saying also.
Sure.
But also, even if you go back to it, you still can't bring in the public. So you're
Right.
going to still have to go monitoring on these iPads, even in the shelter house.
And that's another,
Or-
yeah. I don't want to interrupt you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. I think we're going to delay, but I was talking to Casey about this when we first started doing the Zoom meetings. And one of the benefits of having it right now is we're on normal Wi-Fi. But the moment we go back into the shelter house, that has to go on mobile data, and Zoom's not going to be working very well on mobile data. So that's something else we have to take into consideration because the shelter house does not have dedicated internet service. We would be using the jetpack I got from Verizon, and it's probably won't be able to keep up.
All right, anyone else on Mr. Grimm's subject? All right, back to you, Mr. Bridge, or did you have anything else?
I'm done with the city manager report. Any questions? I'd be happy to.
All right, I think we are good for comments on the city manager's report. So we will move down to comments from the members of the public. Do you have anything on your end, sir?
I do not.
All right, thank you very much. And if something pops up within a reasonable amount of time, we can always check those back. Let's see, committee reports, none tonight. Resolutions, Miss Burner, if you would, please.
Yeah, I have resolution 2020-07R, production, public hearing and action tonight. A resolution adding and deleting authorized signatories on all financial accounts of the city of New Carlisle, Ohio.
Thank you. And then that is going to need to be, what'd you say, Mr. Bridge? Do you need a second motion or just amend it with the correct name?
You can amend it with the correct name.
Okay, so the correct name would be Vicky.
We need to take Vicky Taylor and make it Vicky Taylor Witt.
Okay, so we need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
So,
Nowakowski and Eggleston.
correct.
All right.
Did you want to go over this at all again, Mr. Bridge, or?
Yeah, when I wrote this, Mrs. Taylor Witt recently changed her last name to include another last name, and then I did not end up putting it on here because I'm so used to calling her Mrs. Taylor. So she informed me this morning that she has a new last name of Taylor Witt, which is important It just has to go.
Yes,
So we need to get it right.
yes, last names are important.
Mhm.
All right, council, any questions for this topic before we call a vote? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Burner.
All right, Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes,
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes,
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
That motion is accepted, 7-0.
thank you.
You. And then on the actual motion, who do we have for the approval? Have we got there?
I didn't catch anybody for the first part. I had Nowakowski and Eggleston for the name change part, but I didn't hear anyone for the first or second for the,
Move to approve as amended.
Thank you.
second,
was that Grimm?
Mr. Graham was,
Okay, so we got two motions on the floor. So an explanation of this resolution is anytime that we have a turnover of an employee who is listed as a signatory on our bank, we have to take them off. In this situation, we have to add one out. And basically what it is we require 2 signatures on every instrument, payable instrument that leaves the city. And we have 2 main signatories, and it's usually myself, the city manager, and whoever the finance director is. One of our 2 signatures has to be on those checks. The secondary signature is a backup signature, just in case me or Debbie cannot sign them both at the same time, or the finance director at that time. So I'm asking that I still be clearly the main signatory, but also bringing Howie Kicko in as a main signatory, and then putting Derek Hutchinson as a secondary signature. And once we hire a new finance director, we'll have put the finance director and myself as the 2 mains, and then put Taylor Witt and then Mr. Kicko back as a secondary signatures. And sorry, Mr. Hutchinson, but he would have to be removed.
okay. Council, any questions on that?
yeah, a good chunk of what Mr. Bridge said got faded out.
Would you repeat?
Sure, that would be great, please.
Okay, so some explanation of this resolution is anytime we have a employee go on to another position, we have to amend our signatures for our bank cards. And right now I'm requesting that Howie Kicko be as a main signatory and Derek Hutchinson be as a secondary signatory. And then once we hire finance director, we'll go back to the city manager and finance director being the main 2 signatories, and then Mr. Kicko and Mrs. Taylor.
All right, I think what it is, it sounds like, I heard everything you said. I don't think it was an internet connection. It sounds like a vehicle going by and blocking you out, or at least that's what it sounds like to me.
That's what it sounds like here too.
I think it's either that or like like when you get a text or a sound or maybe or something.
Nope. it's
Linda,
right there.
shut your window.
It's
Before-
Linda. It's
before-
Linda. Every
It's
time it
Main
happens,
Street.
hers
Okay,
lights
so-
up. It's a car.
Before Casey started talking, sounded like a toilet flush.
Okay, so Mr. Grimm, do you need it repeated one more time?
No, we could be all night on this.
Okay. All right. Any questions before we call for a vote? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Burner.
All right, Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes,
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes,
Motion accepted, 7-0.
all right,
Moving on to ordinances.
correct.
We have one this evening, ordinance 2020-20, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on June 15th, 2020. And ordinance permitting the city manager to post the finance director position and setting the possible compensation.
Great. And then other business when you're ready.
Okay, other business, we have the community garage sale. That will be the last weekend in June, which is June 27th and 28th. That's it for other business.
All right, thank you very much. And also, Ms. Burner, I'm not, just pass on a thank you to your husband and to all the deputies as well for all his service, and we hope he stays safe.
Will do. Thank you very much.
And with that, Mr. Bridge.
Sorry, as Mr. Grimm got me thinking about some things. This kind of came out in my head, but it sounds like the issue is, and I know some other municipalities are actually giving council members a stipend to actually increase their internet speed during this time. So is that something you guys would be interested in? If you called your internet provider to see what your next speed level is up, and then the city would just give you a stipend in order to do business? I know it's kind of quick, but that's the issue. It's the internet connection speeds.
The only problem I'm having is with Randy. He keeps cutting out constantly. Everybody else here plainly. They're move and I hear voices.
Am I cutting out anyone else?
Yes.
See,
You are,
your internet speed on the other end, because not a single person has cut out to me. We have got super blazing fast 100 megabyte internet here. So,
And so do I.
I don't know.
so do I too.
I'm on dial-up.
No, you're not.
I was gonna say, are you really? And
Well,
I-
Mike, you've always been 30 years behind the times.
Right.
I don't even think there's dial-up anymore.
But, no, I mean, I don't know, Mr. Grimm, you want him, I mean, is that something you're interested in or?
I mean, it would
I
take,
already have as fast as I can cut. Now there, it just sounded like a truck went by.
Yeah, that's the
that's-
problem I'm getting.
And one thing you guys can do, like in all of our Google Meets, if you're not talking, we mute ourselves. Like during the day, my kids will be here and things will get loud, but like, I don't know, that was just the principal's kind of rules. She said, if you're
Yeah.
not the one talking, just mute your mic and then you can't hear some of that background noise and things, and it is a little easier to hear.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
then it would get rid of the traffic that Linda's sitting next to. Yeah, there we go.
You just have to remember to turn it back on. when you
Yes,
talk.
yeah. And then you'll start talking and you won't remember. And then somebody will say, turn your mic on. And so that's okay. But it does help with a lot of that background noise.
Okay, good tech session, everyone.
what about for internet speeds? What do you think, Mr. Grimm?
I don't need, I have about as fast as you can get.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't feel I need it, but there might be others that do.
Okay, well, if anybody has any questions on what Mr. Bridge said about looking at higher internet speeds, maybe they could call you tomorrow or something, or shoot you an email, Mr. Bridge.
Absolutely. Anytime.
So let's just do that so we don't tie this up anymore for the public. So with that being said, we are pretty much to the end of the meeting unless anyone else has any other comments or questions before we close it out.
Adjourn.
All right, we had a motion by Mr. Cobb,
Second.
second by Mr. Vice Mayor for
Okay.
adjournment.
All right. Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins. Your mic.
You're muted.
I thought, what's the matter? Okay, Yeah.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. And our next council meeting will be held on June 15th. Work session again at 6 PM, and then the council meeting will follow at 7 PM. Thank you.